Mm-hmm. All right. Hello.
Hello. Welcome to episode 26.
26, yes. Right back at it after a month of not doing it. Just right back into it. Quicker turnaround, though, on the between listening and filming this time. So.
Yes, this is true. We just listened to these albums yesterday, and so we're doing it while it's still fresh in our minds, so to speak. Yeah,
exactly. Well, it's fresh in our allergy-ridden, riddled minds, I guess. Yes. Everything's so foggy and puffy right now. I think we should start off... Well, actually, let's do the theme before we get into it. Okay, so anyways... The one thing we want to talk about before we get into the episode is we're kind of throwing around a few things, and we're thinking of changing the format of... only format in terms of how it's consumed, not how we do anything. The show would be the same, research would be the same, but we're thinking of making it just strictly a podcast, just a straight up audio podcast.
Yeah, no more video.
No more video, and that kind of comes from a couple different angles. Not in particular order either. I'm going to mention one of them for me is, like I said, not particular order, is that we'd be able to turn them out quicker.
Yes.
We'd be able to produce these episodes a hell of a lot quicker if we could just...
Not have to get all gussied up.
Well, not just gussied up, set aside that time. We could just, like, right away after, just get into it. And then I don't have to spend 4 to 6 hours after, editing it down or doing the stuff. And not that I want it to be super easy, it's just we could turn them out a lot quicker than doing this extra step. So that's one thing we're throwing around. The other thing is YouTube. We have some issues with YouTube and what's kind of going on with it, and not just from a censorship standpoint, but they're really doing some uncool shit with kids, allowing some uncool shit with kids and kids' videos to be exploited, and I'm not really digging that at all.
And the platform too, they're allowing a lot of hate and racism and things like that to go on. Well, that I wish they would crack down on.
The problem is with them cracking down on it is they can't. I wish I'd take the kid sex thing a lot more serious than they are, but the problem is them trying to crack down on all the things that you mentioned is that we're seeing content drop way off, and not content that was negative or racist or anything, or just content in general, stuff that you and I watch, like stuff related to other movies or. And it's just being removed because of violent content or some.
Well, and I think that a lot of people are leaving leaving YouTube because of the reasons that we're talking about, and because we don't have this pay account, but people who have pay accounts have been screwed over.
Oh yeah,
so much in the last couple of years
because we don't monetize.
It doesn't seem to be getting any better, and. There's just a lot of stuff that we're not digging going on over there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And so just a heads up, if you have a take on this, do you think we should stay doing the video? Do you think we should change? I kind of think we should change.
Feedback.
Yeah, feedback. I'd like to hear from you guys and see the 6 of you that watch our videos.
Would you still listen if it was an actual podcast?
Yeah, that's a good point. Would you listen? Would it be easier for you to consume it that way as opposed to video, having to dedicate 40 minutes of staring at a phone or a screen that you could just listen to it? We'd probably do it through SoundCloud, I think.
Yeah, or if you're out for a walk or...
Yeah, exactly. You could just listen to it. It'd be easier.
Wherever you are.
Like I said, our format wouldn't change in that style. We'd still do all of our research and still do everything that we're doing. It would just be strictly as an audio thing. So
right.
Okay. So those are kind of what we're thinking with the YouTube. We're not liking the way it's going, but let's move on now. Okay.
So the 3 albums that we have today, 2 Moody Blues albums.
Let's try that off the top again.
So, off the top today, we have 3 albums. Moody Blues, Days of
Wow.
All right.
How about this? I'll just do the first one.
No, go ahead, do them.
No. Okay. Okay, on today's show, we've got Moody Blues, Days of Future Past. We got the Moody Blues, questionable. Question of balance. Fuck. It's gonna be a long episode.
It's contagious.
Jesus Christ. Moody Blues, Days of Future Past. Moody Blues, A Question of Balance. Asia.
Anyways, okay. The Moody Blues. The Moody Blues are an English rock band formed in 1964. The group came to prominence playing rhythm and blues music. Days of Future Past was their second album released in 1967. It's a fusion of rock and classical music, which established the band as pioneers in the development of art rock and progressive rock. The album's been described as a landmark and one of the first successful concept albums. The band has sold 70 million albums worldwide, 18 platinum and gold LPs. Mm-hmm. The band did this album as part of a deal with Decca Records. Their contract was set to expire, and they owed the label several £1,000s in advances. They were offered a deal to make a rock and roll version of Antonin Dvorak's New World Symphony to promote the company's new Dynamic Stereo Sound audio format. In return for this album, the debt would be forgiven. The project was abandoned, essentially, and Days of Future Past was recorded. Mm-hmm. It peaked at number 27 on the British LP charts, and 5 years later, it reached number 3 on the Billboard 100. It produced 2 huge hits, Tuesday Afternoon and Nights in White Satin.
So I just had to correct something there. Okay.
And that's okay.
Yep.
The producer was Tony Clark. He was a session musician with Decca Records, a bass player, and he moved to the production team. He produced albums for the next 6 albums for the Moody Blues that they put out. So, the track listing for this album is, it's kind of broken down weird because of...
Yeah, it's more like...
It's like The Day Begins, and then there's 2 little subtitles there. The Day Begins, Morning Glory. Then Dawn. Dawn is a feeling. The Morning, Another Morning. Lunch Break, Peak Hour. Then side B is The Afternoon. Forever Afternoon, Tuesday. Evening Time to Get Away. Evening, The Sunset and Twilight Time. The Night, Nights in White Satin. And Late Lament, and Resolvement.
See, on here, listen differently. I mean, what they're doing, and like what you have there, is they're just listing like more themes, overall feelings, and then the songs are kind of buried within in there. So
it's the first time I've seen that, and I can
and here it's only lists 4, right? Like you say, it's The Day Begins, Dawn, The Morning, Lunch Break, side 2, Afternoon, Evening, The Night.
Yeah, this is...
and then you have more detail there, so yeah.
This is actually from Wikipedia. When you go to the discography and you type, or you click on the album, it breaks down the titles like this. So that's where I got my version.
Yeah, it just adds them as a...
so it's a feeling.
So like I said, and it's more about themes anyway. It's not actual songs, necessarily.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it then. I really like, hold on a sec, before we get into it, if you hear noises, weird noises and stuff going on in the background, I think they're cleaning the drains for the building. Suddenly decided, when we decided to start shooting, they decided to start doing that, and there's fucking vibrate.
Yeah, there's all kinds of banging and clashing. And
so if you hear it, that's what it is. They're snaking drains, the roof drains. Too.
Hoses through drains.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So we normally do, we go through songs.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on a sec, before we go any further, which song should we give a little sample of?
I would say Nights in White Satin.
Me too.
I know what it's going to be for the other one, but the other album.
So this is obviously, getting to the prog rock, this is an old prog rock, original prog rock stuff. I love, like I said, it's hard with these guys. I mean, they have their songs, Tuesday or Forever Afternoon Tuesday, and then Nights in White Satin, but everything else it's hard because there's no songs. It's just a trip, a journey. Like it's just you start and it's like it goes and it even opens like a story or something.
There's some spoken word and then it goes off into some symphonic music and then it goes into some singing lyrics
and then like a more classically structured song.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, both of those hits are on the second side.
Yeah.
The first side, And I like that because you put it on and you're not listening for a song. It reminded me of like a Zappa album or something where it's more of like, it's a story. They're storytelling and it's like a whole block, like more of a side. So I dig it. I would agree with you. I love Tuesday Afternoon too. We'll put up Nights in White Satin was well played. Those two songs are obviously great, and but it's interesting to me listening to them because, like I said, you're listening and it doesn't just like put on the first song. It doesn't just start playing that song. Mm-hmm. There's all this like other stuff. Like
all this other stuff that kind of goes on, and then it kind of gets to the meat of the singing. And it's it was a really zen afternoon for us. I think,
for sure. Yeah,
for the first two albums, and the English accent and the spoken word, and
it's like listening to like a Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's just so
reading.
Beautiful and
the music nerds, I love it.
Yeah.
So I was wondering. I listened to because from the collection. I used to listen to the second side of this album. Not a huge amount, but time to time growing up because I liked those songs. I liked the Moody Blues, so I was listening to that as younger me. I'd never listened to the first side before, so it was kind of cool to sit and, like you said.
And I really love music that is like that, soft, quiet, because you have times where you just want to be in that kind of a mood. So it would be a good one to put on.
Well, and like a lot of prog that we listen to and like, it's not just that it's soft and quiet, but it offers some dynamics to it. Like it'll pick up and be faster than ebb and flow and up and down, and that's...
and that's definitely what it does. It is quite a journey through this album. So I wrote that I love the album. I'm not sure I've ever owned, or I've never owned a Moody Blues album.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah. So for me, the only thing really that I know about them is the radio play songs.
Wow.
And generally, all of them I really liked.
Well, and you always hear edits of them too, like Nights in White Satin and Forever Afternoon Tuesday. They're
well,
just
and the Day
really
Begins too. Like I know that I've heard that.
Yes.
Cold-hearted orb that rules the night. I've heard that before, and so I've never really listened to this album all the way through. So it was a really nice treat for me.
It was nice.
And I just thought it was a really cool album.
Yeah, so on to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Like you said, I actually have it spelled, it's past...
Yeah, I had it spelled past, P-A-S-T as well.
So you said Decca Records, Canada, 1967. This is a variation 3 of the first run. It was a bitch to find, but...
I remember you saying yesterday you were having a hard time.
There's a lot of different variations out there, labels and runouts and stuff like that. So, okay. Cover, I put mid to poor. It's worn, faded, dirty. It's got good edges, though. It's good that-wise, and it's not torn, but it's just... It's
worn. It's very worn.
It's old and worn. Like worn and it's not in great condition. So poor medium.
From all those years
poor.
In the crawl space.
Yes, it was worth $1 at the one time. So
I probably picked it up at a yard sale.
Probably.
Oh, and one of the things. Sorry. Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to mention too, and I probably could have done it on this album, is that I'm kind of noticing a trend with your dad in the record collection. Is that he really liked prog rock.
Oh, he definitely likes the prog rock, yeah.
Because we've had a lot of that.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to come, too.
First 75, 80 albums. So.
Yeah, I wonder where I got my love for prog rock from. Shit. At least, at least this is not 80s.
And you've passed
prog.
It on to me, just so you know.
Prog rock's awesome. Okay, anyways, and we will come up with that. The downside to having... no, I don't want to spoil it, okay. The last album's a good summary of the bad that can go on with prog rock supergroups.
Right.
So...
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so the sleeve is plain paper, which I think at one time it was supposed to be something else in there, like an actual sheet or something.
Discogs gives you that information, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think I should have written it down because I know the other one doesn't have it, and it's supposed to have an insert as well, so it doesn't have that. The vinyl was good. It had no big scratches or anything. It was a little bit dirty, a little bit of hiss, a little bit of pop. You use a good cleaning. I mean, it's fucking from '67. It's an original. It's been used a lot. You can hear it. Sometimes those vocals are so faded and distant, and it just sounds like it's been crushed. Cover painting is by an artist, a well-known artist. It's amazing sometimes. David Anstey.
Anstey. Yeah. Looks like,
Yep. He did on this one. Did the painting and cover design. He's worked with other artists around this kind of same area: Savoy Brown, Caravan, a band called Con, 10cc. He does cover designs, illustrations, artwork. He does a lot of paintings and stuff still.
Yeah, he had quite the website, if I remember correctly from you digging through things yesterday.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have a website. No, there wasn't a website for this. What I ended up doing is finding a lot of his paintings, but through either art galleries or through other fan sites. None of his stuff led anywhere. So, yeah. So that was kind of, I obviously put some stuff up there with his paintings, but, so the sound, considering the age, it sounded decent. I said clean, no pops, but there were pops and hiss eventually. The sound field was pretty decent. I know that they were really trying to push their new tech in this 1967 tech for sound field, but it's an old album, so that sound field
things
really
have improved so much over the years.
Well, it just wasn't there. It's so old. So yeah, just any notes. I'm just looking. Do you have any extra notes? I just said I love frog.
It looks like frog.
Yeah. I said the first side is solid, but no individual song stands out. Like it's at the side.
Well, and is that such a bad thing?
No, it's not. It's not as a negative on that.
Yeah.
It's just like
you just kind of float along with it and let it
15-20 minute block of
just let it work itself out.
And then I just said second side, which are the hits are, and I just said I prefer Tuesday afternoon, and
that's what I said. Yeah.
So what you got?
Sale history.
Okay, what do you got for sale
history? In its lowest, $3.49. Average is $7.18. And in mint condition, $21.24.
Yeah, if you could get this thing run through one of those ultrasonic cleaners, you could probably get $3 or $4 for this thing. But I wouldn't.
Which we've looked at. Because of the cover, I think that we would.
Yeah, it's all stained up.
But London Drugs in Canada has a service where they'll clean your albums. We've checked into it.
Yeah.
It's tiny bit expensive,
but
it's cheaper than buying brand new albums.
It's cheaper than buying new, and if it's a rare album, it would be something, like I said, we've talked about before, that I would consider doing as opposed to buying something new.
Yeah. I
would, on certain occasions, get it cleaned and hold on to it. I'm sure we'll come across stuff in here that you just can't find anywhere else. And what's your verdict?
I'm going to say collection worthy. I'd consider replacing it.
Yep. Yeah.
But
get a nice remastered, heavier vinyl.
Yeah, because they have remastered it. I did read that in my travels.
I've seen it out there.
So it has been remastered, and I would consider buying a new one for this.
Yeah. It would be
for the collection, and maybe retiring that one.
Yeah, and then I just want my closing note as well is the same as you. It's keep collection. I'm with you in terms of that would be one that to replace if we ever have the money or whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to it because one thing I stopped kind of doing is talking about the covers. I actually really like the covers. I like the Moody Blues. So I have some of my favorite covers. So I love that they use these artists and stuff to do it. And
Yeah, I love that it's just not pictures of the band.
Just band, it's totally
and
great.
Stuff like that. It's actually, they've got
artwork.
They've got the themes like full moons and new moons and time and it actually has some meaning and some reference.
Yeah, this is like a night writing as
the subject
UFO.
matter.
No, I love that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
Moody Blues down.
Moody Blues down. Okay, so the second one, question of balance. I'm not going to go too much into what the Moody Blues are about since I just explained who they were. A Question of Balance is the 6th album by the Moody Blues. And this album was an attempt by the group to strip down their well-known lush psychedelic sound in order to be able to perform the songs in concert. It was released in 1970 and reached number 1 in the UK and 3 in the US. This album produced a hit, Question, and again, this album has been produced by Tony Clark.
Yeah, if you want to go through your song titles next? Yeah, let's go through the song titles.
Track listing. Side A, Question. How is it? We are here, and the tide rushes in. Don't feel small. Tortoise and the Hare. Side B, It's Up to You, Minstrel's Song, Dawning is the Day, Melancholy Man, and The Balance.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking about, we're listening to it. You were reading that part back, and we usually don't talk about stuff while we're listening to it. We usually save it for the show. But we're talking about how the album, they wanted to simplify. It was hard to produce their big sound constantly. I can understand why. And it's funny because this opens up with Question, which is, you said that to me, then we laughed because like Question is just it literally is just like boom, it just fucking explodes out of the speakers. But by the end, I agree though, it is much more stripped down and simplistic.
Yeah, yeah,
and not in a bad way. It's just not it actually it's not that world.
And they're not traveling with a symphonic orchestra.
Yes, and there's no orchestra. Yeah.
So I wrote that I love The Question. It's probably one of my favorite Moody Blues albums or songs.
Songs, yeah.
I said if they're trying to dial it down, it was not evident.
Not that
the first song.
No.
I said it's full and rich and beautifully touching at points, very similar to Days of Future Past. Mm-hmm. Beautiful vocals, great small touches in production. Little guitars here and little keyboard
some
here.
Great bass playing.
I did not know any other songs on this album besides Question. And I found it very, very enjoyable to listen to. It was very...
Yeah, it's another good... Yeah. And once again, there's, for me, I know you said there's only one hit in this Question. There's two on this album that are amazing. It's Question and Melancholy Man. Melancholy Man is a fucking amazing song. And I love it almost more than any other Moody Blues song. But there you go. You have your two songs. But once again, it doesn't matter as much. The other songs, aren't like this on the same level necessarily, but it's good stuff. Yeah. And it flows really well. And I'm with you. It's goes back to liking prog rock. Now, like you said, it's a lot more simplified than their other stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you got to listen to two full Moody Blues albums on this one.
Yeah, that's for sure. They were both very enjoyable.
Do you have any other notes for you? Get into more?
Not for me. No.
Okay. Question of Balance from Threshold was their label at this time. Canada 70. That's amazing. So you said Days of Future Past was their second album? First? That was their first album. Yeah. That was 67. And we're in 70 now. And you said this is their what album?
Sixth.
Jesus Christ. That's like 2 albums a year almost.
Oh, sorry. It was their second album.
Second, okay.
Yeah, second album released in 1967.
67, and this is on 70, and this is their sixth. So, like I said, they're pumping out albums, and those other albums have great songs, which we will get to on the show eventually.
I'm sure they are. Given your dad's love for prog rock, I'm sure they're there.
They're there. I know they're there. Oh, I hope so, because Seesaw and anyways, yeah. Condition is poor. Bad poor, particularly not the vinyl, just the cover. It's water damaged. It's rotten. It's not in good shape at all. I would not even charge it. It's just.
Oh yeah, it's all buckled.
Yeah, it's fucking garbage. It's clearly been wet for
buckled and inflamed.
Wet for a long period of time, but the vinyl's okay though, so that's fine. There is no inner sleeve, but there should have been one. There's a plastic, which is fine because it stopped the album from getting moldy. But there's. Oh, no, there's nothing. Jeez. So there you go. It's just raw dogging it in there. Let's go bareback. Okay. It's literally just falling apart everywhere now. Cover painting is by an artist named Phil Travers.
I was going to say, but yeah, that cover, though. Another beautiful...
Okay, so cover painting by Phil Travers. The photos... All the photos that were taken in here is by a guy named David Rohl, R-O-H-L. Rohl. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong.
No, Rohl sounds about right.
Okay, so Phil, the guy who did this, I couldn't find a website. No websites. From the UK, from England, spent 5 years in art college, worked with Decca Records from pretty much the get-go, and then floated around in various design studios, but this is, he's done his paintings, and if you go through Decca's records, he's got quite a bit of stuff in there, but mostly these guys.
Cool stuff like that?
Yeah.
Or just Moody Blues?
A little bit of both of those things. Worked with other artists such as Ray Thomas, Trapeze, but mostly known for Moody Blues covers, actually, how I written down this last line there. David, the photographer guy, who did the photos on the inside. Now this is fucking interesting.
It's kind of like a blended collage. With,
yes, it is.
Some really trippy psychedelic colors.
Yeah, and what's interesting about him is that he's actually currently the leading Egyptologist in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's like written all these books on Egypt and like the actual past history before shit got fucked. Like before, Western world started going in and taking stuff away.
Yeah.
And, he's like at the front line of all these ancient artifacts.
Oh, wow, that's very cool.
It's fucking neat. So he's a leading Egyptologist and former director of the Institute for the Study of Science. And he went to, man, could you imagine growing up in a time where you can actually just go to school and fucking afford it and do stuff?
Yeah.
Do so much more. So yeah, he went to school to do college to do photography, and he did that. And then, oh good, I got more. I have to remember all this.
You're so excited about it.
So he did the photography, and he was in a rock band at the same time. Left the rock band, did the photography, and then when he left the rock band and focused on photography, he started doing sound engineering for these bands, and actually opened up a studio in the UK, which I think that they used. I don't know if these guys used them at one point, but it's showing up in our travels before. He's mostly worked with Moody Blues. Moody Blues seem to, like in my research between them, it seems to be a fairly tight group of people artists that work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Work with other artists called Trapeze and Barclay James Harvest. There was another guy that worked with him on the photos, but his name is Mike. I couldn't find nothing. He didn't do anything else. There was nothing else. He must have been just like an assistant that day or something. He got a credit on an album, but there was no...
You say his name is Mike Nuffin?
No, nothing as in I couldn't find nothing. No, his name is Mike Goss.
Gotcha.
And I couldn't find fuck all on him and anything. So the sound is decent, once again. Decent, has some pops, some hisses. I actually found the second side worse. A little bit worse, which is weird. It's only a little bit more recent, but it sounds way better. Like it's from 70, but it sounds fucking far and above even the mix from this one. It's just
like
cleaner, bassier.
And we know how technology changes quickly.
Yeah, from between 67 and 70, it's just like whoa. Quadraphonic, man.
Well, yeah, because they were just on the cusp of that, right? They were just on the cusp of a new sound system. So. Okay.
So besides that, I'd say the last thing, the two songs I like the most, obviously Question and then Melancholy Man. I said It's Up to You has a country twang, which kind of surprised me, because they definitely do some different styles in there. And I said overall it's simplified, especially compared to Days of Future Past. So, anything? Yeah.
No, that's it for me.
What about the money?
The sale history. Mm-hmm. Poor condition, $7. Mid condition, $7.58. And mint condition, $9.37.
No, that case is fine.
So everybody must.
But the vinyl's great though. Like it looks almost new. It's insane. Okay.
So again, for this one, I loved it.
Yep.
I would. It's collection worthy, and I would consider buying a replacement.
Yeah. And I agree with you on all those points. Same thing for me. Yeah. Keep it collection. You would definitely be in rotation and. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there we go.
I'm just going to start listening to them on Spotify too when I'm out and about or just.
Well, because you said that you didn't really know any songs beside Question or
any of their hits that they had. Yeah.
Which is,
I mean, not that I know of.
No. You heard it, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, but you just don't like off the top of your head. You don't know.
No, I don't know what else.
Okay, so there you go. Okay, so then. Moody Blues, Question of Balance, down.
Okay, and the last album is Asia. Asia are an English progressive rock band formed in London in 1981. The original lineup was the most commercially successful, and it happened to be a supergroup made up of 4 members of different progressive bands of the 70s. I don't generally go into specific names, but because this is a supergroup, I'm going to list them and say where they're from.
Okay.
Lead vocalist and bassist was John Wetton of King Crimson. Guitarist Steve Howe of Yes. keyboardist Jeff Downes of Yes and a band called the Buggles, and the drummer was Carl Palmer of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. This is their debut album, released in 1982, and it remains their best-selling album and went to #1 in several countries. It was the #1 album in the U.S. for the year of 1982. It produced one hit, The Heat of the Moment.
It's amazing. It's the best-selling album commercially, only produced one hit.
One hit. And I can't help but think, we talked about this yesterday, about whenever I hear this song.
What does it remind you of? Yeah.
Yes, it reminds me of that episode of South Park where Cartman...
no, it's where Kenny's doing the...
Kenny's dying, and Cartman is singing The Heat of the Moment with...
To Congress.
The Congress. To Congress.
Is this the one where he's dying and they, like... It's the whole Terry Schiavo thing. Yeah. You know, we were talking about that episode. It's fantastic.
And the other movie,
I'm with you.
It's been in 40-year-old version as well.
Yes, yeah, totally. Oh, it's been in tons and tons of stuff, for sure. And it's funny, too, because, you know, you talk about it, and it's a supergroup. You can definitely hear all their different influences. You definitely hear King Crimson and Yes and, you know, ELP and stuff like that. So, does it work? What's the title track, or what's the tracks? Have we done the tracks?
No, producer.
Okay, producer. Sorry.
The producer was a fellow named Mike Stone. Yeah. He's worked with Queen. He did multiple albums: Blue Oyster Cult, Foreigner, Journey, Kiss, Lou Reed, Whitesnake, and Joe Walsh.
Well, which will all be on the show in the future.
Probably, yeah. He started out as an assistant recording engineer at Abbey Road Studios.
Oh, that must be a tough one to start at.
Yeah, he was an engineer, and he worked with producer Roy Thomas Baker to engineer the unique layering of the vocals in Bohemian Rhapsody. So Queen liked him so much for that they wanted him to work on future albums.
Yeah. So
the track listing: Heat of the Moment, Only Time Will Tell, Soul Survivor, One Step Closer, Time Again. Side 2 is Wildest Dreams, Without You, Cutting It Fine, and Here Comes the Feeling.
Yeah, like you said, you know the Heat of the Moment, and that's the big hit off the thing. Everybody knows it. I would say Soul Survivor was the only kind of the only other song that even seemed vaguely familiar. The problem was that I find that a lot of it didn't fucking work. Right? It's amazing to me it's such a big seller, because honestly, it really sucks. It really sucks. It really does. Especially considering I know who's in it, and I can hear those specific people. And there's lots of parts and lots of parts of tracks that I really like. I think the fucking drummer, Palmer?
Carl. I think his name's Carl.
Yeah, it's Carl Palmer.
Carl Palmer, yeah.
Fucking great stuff on there. There's all kinds of just amazing, like, little bits and pieces in there filled at the end of songs and stuff, you know. And then there's little double kick pedals back then, but, you know, like the little spots where he's really throwing it down, and the guy, the Yes keyboardist, and even the King Crimson, but it just fucking doesn't work, and it's annoying and stupid.
Yeah, see, and I kind of...
You kind of liked it.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it as much as some of the others that we've listened to.
No, well, yeah, I agree with that.
That I've never heard before.
Because they're awesome musicians regardless.
And would I listen to it again? I doubt it.
But there's nothing to listen to.
But I found it interesting to listen to. They did 13 albums.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
With different iterations of the band members. And I found it to be very pretentious.
I'm with you. It was definitely pretentious. It was definitely full of itself. Definitely. Yeah. That's a great way of putting it, actually. Pretentious and not very good.
Given, like, when I was going through doing the research on the supergroup and you know, who was in it and whatnot, I was really kind of blinded by the fact that we have all these great musicians together, and this should be a really great experience.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, it wasn't as annoying as some of the ones we've listened to, where by the end I was like, "Oh God, is this over?" It wasn't the case with me. I know it was with you.
Yeah, it was.
But you know, I kind of just went with it, and
I was tuned out by the first side. Yeah. By the time the end of the first side, I'm like, "Oh fuck, I know there's something else here. Let's just go and get this over with." And they're all like 4 or 5 minute songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about right 15 minutes aside. So yeah, it was. I was kind of going into it with an open mind, though. Like, I wasn't just going into it hating it, because I've never really listened to it before in the moment. So, but like I said, by the time the end of the first side, it was just so tedious, and bland coming from all these guys that I love.
It sounded to me kind of cookie cutter.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Not that each song was the same, but it just sounded like everything else that was out there at the time.
It's just super prepackaged pop rock.
Which I guess is happening in music today as well, but
it's always that's always the way it's been. But
you'd expect more from this because of the pedigree of the
musicians,
the players.
Yep. Is it me now?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay, it's me. Okay, Asia, Geffen Records, Canada, 82. I think I just take the camera again. Okay. Cover is in good condition. It's got some condom ring. The corners are good. It's a little tiny thing there, but I don't know. Out of the three, it's definitely in the best condition.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say poor to mid.
Once again, there should be a sleeve, like an insert with the proper lyrics and shit.
So the big mystery is where have all these inside
where all the other socks, where all the left socks are.
Yes, where are they? Where did they go?
So the vinyls are good. No obvious damage. There's a tiny little bit of mold, so I cleaned it up. It sounded good. So I guess that's something going for it. It wasn't too long, I guess. So the guy, cover design, Roger Dean.
RogerDean.com. Like this episode has had 3 really cool covers.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree, yeah. And some pretty iconic ones too, because I mean, as much as we like to shit on, I like to shit on Asia, and even in that South Park episode, in South Park, they made fun of somebody for having a poster of Asia, but it's fuck it. Even in 40-Year-Old Virgin, I wonder if that's where they stole that joke.
That's where they made fun of him having the poster on as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, I like if you look at the stuff, it's very similar. Born in 1944, he's an English artist, designer, and publisher. Best known for his album covers and posters. He's worked with Yes, Asia, Gentle Giant, Uriah Heep. Was close friends with Storm Thorgerson, which did Hypnosis and all the Pink Floyd stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. They grew up. They went to the same school or in the same fucking. I think they shared an apartment together for a while or something.
Okay.
Or a flat, as they say.
In the British.
So yeah, I'm sure I'll put some other stuff of his when I'm talking in the background. The sound is okay. 80s pop rock mix, clear mostly. Some pops and hiss, probably just from being dirty. Wait, you mind if I burn it? Yeah.
It's funny because that inspired an art idea.
An art idea, yeah. So like I just said, other than Heat of the Moment, I just said it's just garbage pop rock. I said Soul Survivor sounds kind of familiar. I like the drumming in places, and I said my biggest problem is they'd get into something good, and then it'd be fucking cheesy, like 80s kind of cheesy, where it would do something and just be totally off-putting. You guys had this nice thing going, and fucked it up. So anyways, how about you? What's going on? Costs?
Sales history. In poor condition, $3. In medium condition, $4. In mint condition, $10.05.
Okay, well, since we're going to talk about our reviews for it, I'm going to burn it. Burn it. How do you?
And I'm going to make it into an art project. So no collection, no crawl space, no... I don't want to burn it,
straight to the art folder.
I will do something fun with it.
Okay, well, Asia down. Yeah, I know that we don't have any more of that bullshit to deal with in the collection.
Oh, I'm sure there's other kinds of bullshit, though.
Oh, yeah, there's tons of, hundreds of albums of other bullshit. What did we say? What did we figure out per thing? Was 75 records per cubby or something?
Well, we just did 75.
Oh, we just did 75, so and we're not quite... Okay, so...
Maybe 1 or 2 episodes away from finishing the first cubby?
So about 78, so, yeah. Since we talked about last time, still 7 cubbies, there's going to be lots of shit.
Yeah.
There's going to be some rough days ahead, but good days too. Lots of good days.
Oh, yeah.
I know the next episode's going to be good.
Sweet.
So, yeah, that's it. Like, subscribe.
Hit the bell if you want to know.
And let us know about the podcast thing.
Yeah.
We're really seriously thinking of changing our format in that regard a little bit. So, all right, guys.
Thanks.